script to a screen. These two words are very powerful, and we are talking with Aneesh Daniel, 35 years of long experience in the business of films and television production. Anish, I really enjoyed talking with you on the last episode because the big takeaway was before you do a script, please understand your audience.
Yes.
That was a big takeaway. And one of the things I want to dive deep into is talking about script and a screen. There's so much to learn from this script, this
Yes.
word script.
Yes.
There's so much to learn. And in your experience creating movies and also working with television production, you constantly, even now when you came to the planned shooting, I saw you taking a pen, you're taking a paper, I see the typical director hat which you have, So what's keeping you going with the script, Alfred Hitchcock,
Yes.
script. So why is it that as influencers, people need to really, really work hard on this?
Well, the reason is that they need to come up with such an interesting idea which can influence the audience. So now you know your audience, and now when you know the audience, will that audience like violence? Will that audience like love? Will the audience like affection? Will that audience like anything what they need? You need to cater it to them. Now you need to choose how you, being an influencer, can influence the right way in that audience, because the audience will really like violence also. But then, as an influencer, you should not inculcate that value. You might inculcate something else. Though it is a story of a violence, like our film, it started with the story of a violence, but then how can you work out the storytelling in a way? So you need to work out with understanding the audience and knowing them that this will work out very well with them. So you need to start working on that script.
When you write a script, how do you visualize that what I write will connect with the audience? Yes, one is to say audience. Yes, based on the audience I'm writing. But how do you visualize that process? This is also a practical issue with the many speakers. Some are excellent speakers.
Yeah.
Take Jesus, for example. He was a brilliant communicator.
Yes.
A super brilliant communicator, he told stories and, we talk about it, so much. But there are also speakers who prepare and come, but they're not connecting, So how do you visualize, like when you're making this movie on list of these, how did you develop this concept of, okay, this is a concept I have, this is the script I'm developing, but this is, I feel, will connect with the audience. How do you explain that process?
So most importantly, I am very influenced with the true story.
Right.
So most of the time, most importantly, a true story has an ending, because everybody now knows that this has happened. This is the ending out of it. So you take that ending and then you start from that in the beginning. But if it is a fictional story and it does not have an ending, then you start from the beginning and then go to the ending. Now in that process, you might realize that, oh, I want it. So you have a starting here and I want to talk about the ending here. But if it is moving on smoothly in a different direction, let it move. I'm talking about if it is a fiction.
Right.
So let it move the way it is moving, because you can culminate to a point. So it is essential for you to give a little free hand to the script also to develop. You don't control the script, but it is very essential for the script also to develop. Sometimes we become so rigid, saying that, no, I want to tell this message, I want to talk about this, but let it grow. Let it grow in the right way. You have to, because sometimes script, the content itself is a wild horse. It can grow to any level. So you as a jockey, you have to take care of that wild horse, and that will happen when you master your talent. And we keep working hard on understanding the grammar of script writing.
Oh, the grammar of script writing.
Yeah, I really say this. It's just not that. It is a grammar of script writing. Because my mother was an English teacher, and every time she used to tell me, your grammar is bad, son, your grammar is bad. And I understand that. But it is so essential that when your language is not right and you're doing so much of grammatical error, and if you're going to talk to big audience, you need to first fix your grammar. That means you need to first fix your grammar of script writing.
And now thanks to ChatGPT,
Yes.
we have all these tools. But I remember, Anish, in maybe another meeting where we were speaking or something, I remember you saying to develop this script for least of this, it took you 6 to 9 years or something. If I'm not mistaken, it took a long time to work on the script. Was it something like that, those lines?
Yes. So when we started working on it, I gave a little time because I thought, no, being my first film, it needs to be good. And we kept on working and polishing. And there was another reason because Andrew, our writer, was in Australia, so there was this distance relationship between us. At times, we have worked on a script at 3 a.m. I used to get up at 3 a.m. He used to get up at 5 a.m. So to catch up his time in Australia in Perth, I used to get up at 3 a.m. and work with him. And I said, no, we should work on that, but we should get up in the morning and do it. So you keep on working on it and then say, oh, this will work, this will not work, this will work, this will not work, that way, So you keep working, have a partner who is equally creative, whom you can think and then develop together, that way.
We'll just show the audience some clips of what happened in the planning of the movie and during the movie. And I want to come back on one more question on, you said grammar. I want to just a little bit touch on this grammar, because you seem to be going back to the foundation, which is script, And we today in the digital era hardly have a pen, nor do we have a paper. And we need to understand the importance of the pen and the paper. We're going back to the foundation.
Yes.
And especially for the digital audiences who are watching us, it's important, the pen and the paper. Of course, no harm in having a mobile phone and text writing and all that. But let's see the shots on the production shots. We're going to talk also about how you may have been talented, but what happens if you don't have a team? The power of a team. We're going to talk about so much in this process of a director, a script to a screen. There's so much involved. But let's see this short clip and come back on one important question on the grammar of the script. Aneesh, when I saw those shots, so much hard work has gone, but it all started with the script. Today we see the movie in a theater and, we just see that whole life coming alive, And, I like the last line, you said the truth, That's a beautiful line which you had. But you said grammar. How does the digital audience today understand this power of a script, and what's the grammar you're talking about?
When it comes to grammar, there is one very key core point of that grammar of script writing is from where the script develops, as per Robert McKee's book. What is story? An inciting incident happens with the protagonist, which unbalances the life of the protagonist. Now the protagonist fight to balance it back with the forces of antagonist. He may succeed or he may not succeed. So let me explain it in a very simpler way that in our film, this is Manav Banerjee, the character, who is not having money. Wife is just had a baby. He is come to get a job from a long way to Baripada.
The journalist.
The journalist, yes. Manav Banerjee. And then he meets these big bosses who want him to write a script write a write-up about Graham Staines, and they are ready to pay him good. So that is where that inciting incident happens, which we just saw in the clip. And that inciting incidents, now he has to work for them to write what he might not like it or might like it. And now he has to come back to a point where how we can culminate the story, whether what is he writing and giving it to them. So an inciting, I will repeat it. So it's very essential to understand an inciting incident happens with the protagonist, which unbalances his life. He may fight to balance it back with the forces of antagonist. He may succeed or he may not succeed. That is a story. And that is where when you start working hard on a character who happens to meet with an inciting incident, and he fights with the forces of antagonist. That is a very to make people understand. It can happen with anybody. Like say for example, a small boy caught with a loaf of bread because he is poor. Now he has to fight with the system. That way.
So that's the key element. So that emotion and that sequence which brings the character alive.
Yes. So we all have characters in ourselves. I am very quiet man, but then there is an anger in me. So we all have some characters in my life. But I get very upset when I see on a traffic signal, if somebody breaks the rule. And as a character, I develops and it says, why are you breaking the rule? That way. And why are you not stopping at red light? And why are you honking? So that character is developed in my self, So there can be an inciting incident happening with me in a traffic signal also. And I have to fight with the forces of antagonist, which is the system there, which so many people and everybody wants to go and say. Sometimes it happens in a very simpler way that you stopped in a red light and somebody is honking from there because the road is clear and saying, you move out, so I need to move. That way. So that is an inciting incident has happened with me. So that is very essential to see the character, how the character will evolve and develop, that way.
So just we have a minute more, Anish, we're going to conclude now, and then we're going to dive into something even more important. The big takeaway I'm getting is, as a writer, so this bringing this character and the character alive, what's the key element you would like to tell the viewers to make sure my script is very strong? So in your own story, in your own movie, The Least of This, what was that element which you always were very cautious about to make sure the audience, because if you recollect the last episode, you said, develop your story based on the audience.
Yes.
And now you're talking about that the character, the character element. So what would be that one takeaway which you would tell our audiences, saying, watch out for this and that you can grow?
I'm not giving you any example from the movie, but then the takeaway I would like the audience to take is that when your protagonist is trying to fight with the antagonist, your antagonist need to be very big. Then there is a fun when the protagonist, a smaller kid, fights with, David fights with Goliath. In the same way. So your antagonist is like Goliath. And you are a script writer with the character, you need to develop in such a way that you can fight Goliath. Now everybody will say, how did Goliath died? Because everybody was laughing. But this guy was intelligent enough to, throw the sling exactly on his, forehead. And then Goliath died. So you need to develop a character which is not only, weak, but intelligent enough. So the takeaway is that whenever you do something, whenever you write something, whenever you create something, see to it that your antagonist, your villain is very big and you fight with it. You make your protagonist fight with it.
Yeah, make your villain big is the takeaway.
Make your villain big and make your your hero smaller, so that when he fights, there is a cheer, and that's a very good storytelling.
Yeah, by making the villain big, you're not making him big to win, you're making him big to lose.
Big to lose, yeah. And interestingly, villain cannot be necessarily a human being. Villain can be system, villain can be weather.
Yeah.
Like say for an example, you're stuck in middle of desert. Your villain is your landscape, your geography. How will you fight from being stuck in a in a desert?
Yes.
So villain can be anything that way. But you have to bring that character to a situation like that where the villain is so big.
Villain can be phone also.
Yeah, villain can be phone also. Yeah, definitely. Villain can definitely be phone, because eventually it will happen that phone is turning out to be a bigger villain. In our lives, we cannot do anything without phone now.
Yeah, good Anish. And thanks for staying with us. In the next episode, we're going to dive into something even more exciting from this thought of developing a script to a screen. We're going to talk about some key aspects on your own life, some challenges you faced, what were the things you thought will work but did not work, and how important is a team. What are some characters where some people are really brilliant, really strong, really extra talented, but they never come up in life. What was the block in that? And we're going to talk about some real life situation. You're watching Let's Talk Influence, and thank you, Anish, for joining us. And friends, I'll see you again in the next interesting episode. We're talking with Aneesh Daniel, movie maker, more than that, a script writer, more than that, a poet, more than all that, a great friend and a great human being. Don't miss the next episode.